What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Casual Critic YouTube channel. I'm happy to have you here today. We are talking tunes. We are talking music. We're talking my favorite albums of all time. Now, before I get into this list, I want to preface it by saying these are just the ones I kind of came up with on the top of my head. There's probably ones I'm missing, probably maybe better ones that I'm missing. I'm sorry. These are just what came to mind first. And also, I want to do more music videos on the channel because I'm really into music. I want to do more album reviews, but I'm not I'm very up to date on movie releases and stuff when they come out, but albums, I'm not like that unless I really love that particular artist. But look out for more music videos coming soon. So today, as you see from the title, we are doing my favorite albums of all time. Like I said, these are just the ones that came off the top of the dome. So let's get right into it, okay? This first one, I'm looking down because my notes are down here. I'm sorry. The first one we have is actually a newer release. It just came out, I think, on May 13th of this year. It is the Florence and the Machine's new album called Dance Fever. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Obviously, it's on this list, but some of the songs on here are some of my favorite songs of all time. Track number 2, that's called Free, that is my favorite song of all time, which sometimes boggles my mind because I feel like we all have our favorite albums, we all have our favorite artists and our favorite songs, but then something new just gets released, and then you have to start that list all over. But I'm happy to do it for Florence and the Machine. So like I said, this album is fantastic. My favorite tracks are obviously Free, which is the one I said was my favorite song, and the third track also is a great one. It's called Choreomania. I hope I'm saying that right. Next on the list is also a newer-ish release. It came out last year. It's 17 Going Under by Sam Fender. I started listening to Sam Fender's music. He is a great writer and a great guitar player. I just love his whole vibe. It feels very unique in this day and age of the modern pop era. I don't even know if that's I don't even know. I'm high as shit. Okay, my favorite tracks off this album are Spit of You, Better of Me, and Get You Down. Third album on the list is I feel like it's a classic already, even though it came out in 2020. It's Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. I almost want to say Phoebe Waller-Bridge, which I cannot do that. But Phoebe Bridgers, I love this album. I feel like it's an album that flows very well together. It's definitely like a cohesive body of work. Some artists put out albums and if you didn't know that song was on that particular album, you probably would think that it came out on any of their albums because it's not a cohesive flow to it, which is fine. I like albums like that too. But Punisher very much has a clear beginning and an end, and I love that about this album. My favorite tracks are Graceland 2 and Garden Song. This next album pulls me back to my middle school days, okay, which is kind of scary, I'm gonna be honest. It is Born to Die, but hang on, the Paradise Edition, because it's like an extended edition of that original album that came out in 2012, got it right. But the extended edition has some of my favorite Lana Del Rey songs of all time on that particular version, so I had to go with this specific album. My favorite tracks are Born to Die, Ride, and Off to the Races. But honestly, the whole extended, I feel like there's, 5 or 6 songs on the extended version that are added. All of them are so good. And Lana Del Rey, honey, I've been a sad bitch ever since I listened to your music, but I don't regret it. Next one is another Lana Del Rey album because I could not pick between these two. It's her sequel album that came out, I believe, in 2014, called Ultraviolence. Now, I feel like Born to Die is less of a cohesive body of work, perhaps. You know what I mean? It flows, but not like a story. But Ultraviolence flows like a story. You know what I mean? But also on this second album, I feel like it's such a great second album. I feel like she just really, this is gonna sound cringy, I just feel like she matured a lot. There's just shit was going on, yo. I feel like in the first album, she's like, oh, I'm sad. Oh, and then in the second album, she was like, I'm sad, but I have very good reasons now. Sorry, my mic is falling off. I'm moving around a lot. But yeah, I love Ultraviolence. My favorite tracks are Guns N' Roses, Brooklyn Baby, Old Money, and Cruel World. Next up, we have Mr. Harry Edward Styles. You knew, or you should have known, he was going to make an appearance in this list. It's Fine Line. I think Fine Line, out of the 3 albums he has out right now, is the superior album. I like them all. I like some a little bit more than others. But Fine Line, that's one of those albums where I don't feel like it flows very much. It's kind of all over the place, but in a good way. It just has a very diverse catalog in the sounds and the vibes and the emotions, which I really do like. sometimes, albums that are all about the same fucking thing, the whole thing is so sad and it's like about a breakup and it's just sad. Those are good. But sometimes I like a little bouncing around in my song I don't know, in the way that the songs sound and feel, okay? And I think Fine Line definitely does that. It's groovy, it's sexy, it's a little sad, it's happy and dancey. So I love it. And my favorite tracks are Adore You, Sunflower Volume 6, and Candy Moon. Next one you might not have heard about. It's not underground. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is so crazy and underground that you will never heard it. He's just not a very famous artist, but I love him. I've met the man, but I won't show you the picture because I look like shit. It is Langhorne Slim's album called Lost at Last Volume 1. I saw this man perform at a music festival in Floyd, Virginia. I hadn't heard of him prior. We watched him perform and I loved him. And then we all listened to his album and it's great. And one of my favorite songs of all time, probably like top 5 favorite songs of all time, is on this album. It's called Life is Confusing. It's beautiful. He's got a very folksy vibe to him. Very cool. Very nice man. Very nice man. So, of course, Life is Confusing is one of my favorite tracks off this one. And also Zombie. Very cute song. Next up is a band that has kind of fallen from the graces, in my opinion. Their first album was amazing. Everything that they've put out since, I fucking hate. But I still love them. Have their band symbol tattooed on my arm, so still love them. But it's the Aces and their first album, When My Heart Felt Volcanic. This is like an 80s vibe, girl pop, just dancing and fun times. And I love the Aces. I became obsessed with them, but that's because literally 3 out of 4 of them are gay and hot. I mean, 4 out of 4 of them are hot. One of them is married to a man, Tier. Other 3 are gay. So I love them. Like I said, I don't like their newer stuff. If you listen to this album, you probably won't like their new stuff because it fucking sucks and it's so weird and different. But my favorite tracks off this particular one is Volcanic Love, Fake Nice, and Lovin' His Bible. Next up is an album I hold dear and dear to my heart. I listened to this and another one my whole senior year. It's Blonde by Frank Ocean. I feel like so many people love this album. It's such a great album. Frank, sweetheart, please call me. I'd love to hear what you've been up to and what you've been working on, because put that shit out, please. But yeah, Frank Ocean is incredible. I think he's a genius. I think this album is a masterpiece. And masterpiece. Favorite tracks, I picked so many. Favorite tracks, Nights, Nikes, Ivy, Pink and White, and Solo. Next album is the other album that I listened to my entire senior year. It's Control by Sizza. I also think she is an absolute genius and that this album is a masterpiece. This album, like Frank Ocean's, both those 2 albums just literally never get old. I continue to visit these albums pretty fucking frequently. And I know also both these artists haven't put anything new out in a while. We got Good Days by Sizza, which is one of the best songs ever made in my opinion. But I think she is a genius. A certifiable genius. Favorite tracks off Control are The Weeknd, Go Gina, and Normal Girl. Next up, we have Melodrama by Lorde. This album has seen me through some rough times. Got to see this live in concert. Very grateful that I did because it was an amazing experience. Favorite tracks are Greenlight, Supercut, and Sober. I gotta speed this thing up. We got a few more albums. Next one is a underrated by a long shot. One of my favorite artists, Cher. Grew up listening to Cher, love her to death. One of her most underrated bodies of work, in my opinion, is her 1987 release of her self-entitled album called Cher, obviously. There were a couple of popular hits off that album that really made it big, but the whole thing is a banger and so underrated. Favorite tracks off that are Dangerous Times, Perfection, and I Found Someone. Last but not least, this is a recent find. If you've been watching my videos, you've probably heard me talk about the Cocteau Twins a lot because I'm really getting into their stuff. They were a Scottish band that was popular in the 80s and 90s, and I love them to death. I haven't listened to all of their albums, so this is just my favorite because I feel like this is probably the first one a lot of people visit when they start getting into the Cocteau Twins music, but it's Heaven or Las Vegas, that whole album. Incredible. I also think that this album is a complete masterpiece, like a work of art, literally. Favorite tracks, Pitch the Baby, 50/50 Clown, and Heaven or Las Vegas. So those are my favorite albums. If you like these albums, please let me know. I'd love to know that we like the same. And tell me some of your favorite albums and give me some recommendations to check out. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It would help out a lot, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.